Welcome to the Explainer. So, have you ever wondered if there's literally just one single cohesive system out there that can explain absolutely everything? And I mean everything, from the literal birth of the universe right down to exactly how you should be managing your monthly budget. Well, today, we're diving into exactly that. I am super excited to introduce you to the NSKW Quadrology. It's this incredibly unconventional philosophical framework that connects the massive, grand origins of the cosmos to some highly practical and, honestly, sometimes pretty radical everyday rules for life. It's a really fascinating look at how huge macro theories can actually dictate our tiniest micro actions. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to hit 6 sections: the NSKW reality framework, escaping the biological autopilot, wealth through radical restraint, relationships and the truth, diet and radical simplicity, and finally, love your meaningful suffering. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The NSKW reality framework. Okay, first things first, we've got to understand the core definition here. What even is the NSKH quadrology? Essentially, it's a philosophical model designed to create a completely value-free, consistent baseline for human existence. And it does this by strictly banning anything metaphysical and focusing entirely on what it calls temporary absolute truth. Basically, this framework acts as a mental tool. It's meant to strip away all those emotional or ideological illusions we carry around so you can view reality completely neutrally. It's kind of like taking off the rose-colored glasses of what society wants you to see and just looking at the nuts and bolts of how the world actually functions. The whole thing is built on these 4 foundational pillars that bridge the gap from cosmic creation all the way down to the stages of a human life, all anchored by truth. First up, we have NKE, which acts as their theory of everything. Then there's SBT, or the Small Bang Theory, which explains the origins of our immediate solar system. Next is KLAS, which outlines these cyclical life phases. They call them the camel, the lion, the eagle, and the turtle. And crucially, at the very base of it all is WAF, which represents truth as foundation. In this model, truth isn't just an ideal, it's the literal fuel your brain needs to step out of autopilot. Section 2. Escaping the biological autopilot. Now, when we actually apply this theory to our daily behavior, the source highlights this constant, intense internal battle going on inside of us. It's a tug of war between our ancient instinctual drives and our conscious mind. On one side, we've got the biological autopilot, what they call System 1. This guy is driven purely by hormones, short-term pleasure, and deep evolutionary instincts. On the other side, we have reality mode, or System 2, which is driven by strategy, truth, and conscious long-term choices. And the framework argues that most people, without even realizing it, spend their entire lives completely trapped on autopilot. So how do we fix that? Well, the source calls it reprogramming the EEPROM. The goal here actually isn't to kill your emotions completely. Instead, it's about painstakingly rewriting your internal programming. Think of it literally like flashing a memory chip on a motherboard so that you can consciously switch between reality mode and a temporary controlled dream world mode. It takes a ton of discipline and rational thinking to actively overwrite those deep-seated impulses. But the idea is, once you do it, you turn your intuition into a super fast, reliable, and realistic machine that actually serves you rather than controls you. Section 3. Wealth through radical restraint. Let's talk money. According to the NSKW model, the reason so many people fail to build wealth during their prime earning years is that they just bleed resources. The framework views this as a dual threat to wealth. On one hand, you have hedonistic self-consumption, buying the sports car, getting the luxury watches, chasing status. And on the other hand, the model claims that the male provider instinct acts as this massive resource sink, where earning power gets completely drained just trying to fulfill the lifestyle expectations of a relationship. So here is the absolute game-changer rule in this framework for creating a financial delta. You have to aggressively slash your combined monthly housing and mobility costs to an exact target of 700 to 800 euros. We're talking shared housing, extremely cheap transport. The whole philosophy is that you don't get rich just by earning more money. You gain true minted freedom by radically controlling what goes out. By embracing a flat share or driving a cheap, reliable car, you suddenly free up thousands of euros every single month, creating this massive financial delta. Okay, so you've got your delta. Now what? Well, the model lays out a very specific, grounded progression for your wealth that forces you to manage physical assets. Step 1, obviously, is aggressively saving that money you freed up. Step 2 is super interesting. It's buying a meadow or a small plot of raw land. Why? Because it forces you to learn basic responsibility, care, and the actual physical effort required to maintain property. Then, and only then, step 3 is buying a small apartment or property. It teaches you that wealth isn't just some abstract number sitting in a bank account. It requires active attention, management, and adaptability. Section 4, Relationships and the Truth. Listen to this pitch. It's completely wild, but the author uses this unconventional example to demonstrate the philosophy's demand for absolute, unvarnished honesty when it comes to genetics, finances, and biological intent. The quote reads, "Happy family lottery ticket. I am 63, look 43, and feel 23. I am looking for a very attractive woman, maximum 35, who consciously wants a first child." There is zero hiding behind societal expectations here. It is a radically transparent declaration of exactly what's being offered and exactly what is expected in return. They call this the FOMO strategy. The framework suggests that by completely refusing to hide your age or your intentions, you can strategically bypass all the standard, exhausting dating games. By presenting a fleeting, high-value opportunity of financial security and genetic vitality, the theory is that you leverage the fear of missing out and the natural emotional fluctuations of that target demographic. It basically proposes using brutal truth as the ultimate filter to cut right through the noise of modern dating. Section 5. Diet and Radical Simplicity. How does this radical simplicity apply to our bodies? Well, the model argues that the modern obesity epidemic is a direct result of industrial foods literally hacking our biological autopilot. The industrial diet relies heavily on ultra-processed foods and inflammatory seed oils, which the framework links straight to visceral fat and modern health crises. As an antidote, it proposes the evolutionary diet. This is a meat-heavy, radically simple approach that focuses almost entirely on grass-fed beef, nutrient-dense organ meats, and simple animal fats. The whole idea is just to feed the body what it was evolutionarily designed to process, and nothing else. And the math they use to back this up on a macro scale is actually pretty staggering. The source argues that by utilizing roughly 80% of Germany's land for highly extensive natural farming, the country could theoretically sustain a massive population. Alongside the current population of 84 million, the framework calculates a theoretical additional capacity for 201 million people. To put that into perspective, that's 285 million people fed, simply by using pastures, utilizing forests for wild game, and letting chickens forage naturally. It proposes a massive sustainable food supply that perfectly aligns with our biological needs. Section 6. Love your meaningful suffering. Which brings us to the ultimate mindset required to actually pull all of this off. The framework teaches amor fati, which means loving your fate, but it specifically stresses that trying to avoid suffering is a huge mistake. Instead, you have to consciously choose your struggles and embrace them fully. The phrase here, liebe deine Hamsterräder, translates to love your hamster wheels. It means that whether your struggle is maintaining extreme financial discipline, sticking to a strict diet, or taking a freezing cold shower every single morning, you shouldn't just endure it. You should actively love the meaningful suffering you've chosen, because that's exactly what builds your identity and fortifies your reality mode. So, I want to leave you with this provocative thought from the NSK framework to ponder when you look at your own daily habits. If modern life really is just a trap of biological instincts, which meaningful hamster wheel will you consciously choose to run in tomorrow? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this deep dive into the NSKW Quadrology has given you a powerful, maybe slightly radical new perspective on simplicity, truth, and taking absolute control of your life. Catch you next time.